Think for a moment about the things you've probably already used today. Maybe you checked your reflection, stirred your coffee, measured something. Mirrors, spoons, tape measures, they're just so woven into our daily routines, aren't they? We rarely stop and think about their stories.
And they have such fascinating stories. Really, these, well, seemingly ordinary objects hold centuries of human ingenuity. They tell us a surprising amount about history.
Exactly. So, in this deep dive, we're kind of on a mission. We want to uncover the remarkable origin, the evolution of these three everyday essentials. Get ready for a journey because it spans millennia. We'll trace them from their most basic forms right up to the sophisticated versions we use now. We've gathered some really incredible material.
It is quite striking how each of these items, born from really fundamental human needs, hasn't just been refined by technology. They've also been deeply shaped by cultural practices over time.
And you might be surprised by what we've dug up. We're talking faint reflections in polished volcanic rock thousands of years ago. Spoons playing a role in ancient spiritual ceremonies.
Did I?
And how a simple idea from a tailor led to that very satisfying snap of a retracting tape measure.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, let's get started. Maybe looking into the history of mirrors first.
Sounds good. The story of the mirror, well, it begins incredibly early. We're talking around 6000 BCE in what's now Turkey. You have to picture someone, meticulously polishing a piece of obsidian that's a natural volcanic glass just to capture a pretty shadowy glimpse of themselves.
Wow. It's really hard to imagine those early reflections compared to what we see in a mirror today. These obsidian mirrors, they were small, right? Had to be held.
Yeah, exactly. And they took considerable effort to make. Laborious.
The fact they were so treasured, though, even buried with their owners,
Yeah.
that suggests they held some real significance, maybe status symbols or something spiritual.
That's right. And it wasn't just happening there. You see similarly reflective tools popping up in Mesopotamia, Central America. They used polished bronze or copper. A bit more durable, perhaps, but the reflections still quite dim, limited clarity.
Okay, so fast forward quite a bit. Centuries later, you get to the Renaissance in Europe. Big artistic, scientific advancements happening, specifically 16th century Venice. Something really transformative happens with mirrors then, doesn't it?
No, absolutely. Venetian glassmakers, they developed this groundbreaking technique, applying mercury or later silver to the back of glass. This innovation resulted in what they called looking glasses, and they provided a remarkably clear, accurate reflection. I mean, unlike anything people had ever seen before.
Whoa.
It's a huge leap in clarity, especially when you think about it. This is long before photography. This was the way to see yourself clearly.
Right, so suddenly mirrors aren't just functional. They become these highly sought-after luxury items. You see them in the homes of European nobility. And the Venetians, they guarded their methods really fiercely, didn't they?
Oh, absolutely. The penalties for revealing mirror-making secrets were, well, severe. It just highlights how valuable and revolutionary these clear reflections were considered.
Yeah.
And we should also remember the human cost. That mercury process, extremely hazardous for the artisans working with it.
A dangerous craft for a beautiful object.
Yeah.
I mean, Venetian mirrors, they didn't just look impressive, did they? They had a real impact.
A profound impact. They became essential tools for artists. Think about portrait painting.
Ah, right.
They contributed to emerging science. And of course, they fundamentally changed how individuals saw themselves, literally and figuratively. It really makes you wonder how that constant, clear reflection might have shaped identity back then.
That's a fascinating point. Then, moving into the 19th century, thankfully, safer methods came along. Silver and glass without the dangerous mercury.
And mass production became possible.
Right.
And that shift from handcrafted luxury to mass-produced accessibility, that was pivotal. Mirrors transitioned into everyday household items. They started influencing everything, personal grooming, interior design. You could even argue it played a role in psychology, a readily available tool for self-examination.
And look at today. Mirrors are just everywhere, from a tiny compact in a bag to, the giant lenses and telescopes.
Yeah.
The basic principle is the same. It's quite a journey, isn't it? From polished volcanic rock to advanced optics. But our fascination with seeing ourselves, that persists.
It really does.
Okay, let's switch gears. Let's turn to another object we see all the time. The spoon.
The spoon. It boasts an equally ancient and compelling history. We see it appearing way back in Egypt, maybe around 3000 BCE. Try to picture early Egyptians carving spoons from materials readily available: ivory, wood, maybe bone.
Simple forms, but so essential, right, for eating the porridges, soups, stews that were staples back then. And like those early mirrors, spoons also held a significance beyond just eating.
Indeed. We know Egyptian priests used them in certain rituals, and we found these really elaborately decorated spoons in pharaohs' tombs as offerings.
Offerings. Wow.
Yeah, it suggests they were seen as more than just, utensils, maybe symbolic feeding in the afterlife or for specific food offerings and ceremonies.
Interesting. And their use wasn't just limited to Egypt, right? You mentioned Mesopotamia too.
Right. In Mesopotamia, you find clay spoons, probably for everyday meals, but also gold spoons, clearly showing wealth and status.
It's amazing how something so basic could signal social standing so clearly.
And what's fascinating is the spoon's adaptability. Look at ancient Greece and Rome. Spoons served multiple purposes there. They functioned as like cosmetic applicators,
Mm.
maybe for ointments or perfumes,
Huh?
or even tools for measuring out medicines, perhaps powdered remedies.
To talk about a versatile little tool. And the designs varied too, I imagine.
Oh yeah, different regions developed variations. Some had pointed handles, others broader bowls, likely tailored to specific foods or, those other uses.
Okay. Then, moving forward to the Middle Ages in Europe, the spoon becomes pretty standard.
Yes, pretty much a universal eating utensil by then. While you still had silver or pewter spoons indicating higher status, the spoon itself was readily accepted. Unlike the fork, actually, which faced some initial resistance in parts of Europe.
Why was that?
Well, perhaps because using a spoon is quite close to the natural action of scooping food with your hand. It wasn't such a radical shift in behavior as using a fork might have seemed.
Ah, that makes perfect sense. Less alien. And then, boom, the Industrial Revolution. That must have changed spoon production dramatically.
Absolutely. Mass-produced metal spoons became the norm, much more affordable for most people.
And then in the 20th century, further refinements, like stainless steel.
Exactly. Stainless steel offered better durability, easier cleaning, big improvements for everyday use. And today, the spoon's applications are incredibly diverse. Obviously, eating, serving, measuring ingredients when cooking. But you even find them used as musical instruments in some folk traditions.
Spoon playing. Right. It's quite a journey for the humble spoon, isn't it? From ancient Egyptian rituals to, well, stirring my coffee this morning, it really highlights how we take a simple concept and just adapt it endlessly. Okay, let's move on to our final tool for this depth dive. The tape measure.
The tape measure. Its history is a bit more recent, really taking off with Alvin Fellows' patent for the retractable version in 1868. But of course, the need for accurate measurement, that's been around forever.
Oh, absolutely. Before Fellows' invention, what did people use? Rigid rulers, folding wooden sticks, which anyone who's tried to measure a curve knows are not ideal.
Right, cumbersome. But tailors, they'd already figured something out, hadn't they? They needed flexibility.
Ah, cloth tape.
Exactly.
Mm.
Tailors were using flexible cloth tapes for measuring fabric. And this very practical solution, that was the key inspiration for Fellows' design. He basically took the flexibility of the tailor's tape and combined it with a spring-loaded mechanism inside a compact case.
And voila, the retractable tape measure, complete with that satisfying click. A portable, easy-to-use tool. Must have been revolutionary for loads of trades.
It truly was a game changer. For carpenters, seamstresses, surveyors, engineers, so many others, it offered such a significant improvement in both accuracy and convenience compared to those bulkier, less adaptable older tools.
How did it improve accuracy specifically?
Well, the flexible tape could conform to uneven or curved surfaces much better than a rigid ruler, giving you a more precise measurement in those situations.
Right, makes sense. And by the late 19th century, it had become pretty standard in construction manufacturing.
Definitely. It provided the kind of precision that was becoming necessary for the rapid industrial growth happening then. Think about early automotive manufacturing or standardizing building materials. The tape measure played a pretty direct role in enabling mass production and, well, the way modern cities were built.
And the design itself kept evolving, right? Adding things like locking mechanisms, belt clips.
Making them even more practical.
Yeah.
And using more durable materials for the tape itself, like fiberglass or steel instead of just cloth.
Precisely. And it's funny, even though we now have digital tape measures, laser measurers,
Yep.
Fellows' original spring-loaded design, still incredibly common everywhere.
It really is. It's a testament to its simple, effective functionality. A great example of how a practical solution from one specific craft, tailoring, became just indispensable for modern measurement across the board.
So as we look back at these three, seemingly quite different objects, mirrors, spoons, tape measures, what are the common threads? What connects their stories?
I think the central theme has to be that enduring human drive to solve practical problems. It's about ingenuity. Each of these tools, the mirror for, let's say, self-perception and reflection, the spoon for efficient eating, the tape measure for accuracy, each arose from a pretty fundamental human need.
Yeah.
And all three have gone through this continuous refinement over centuries. Constant innovation reflecting our evolving skills, our technologies, our understanding.
We've seen the mirror go from this rare, dim object to something ubiquitous that shapes our self-image. The spoon, starting with basic sustenance, becomes this incredibly versatile implement. And the tape measure, born from a tailor's trick, becomes essential for precision in our entire industrialized world.
And it's also striking how they mirror, no pun intended, these broader cultural and technological shifts, isn't it?
Huh, yeah. How so?
Well, think about it. Venetian mirrors getting tied up with Renaissance art and ideas about vanity. Spoons holding spiritual weight in ancient cultures. The tape measure becoming totally integral to the Industrial Revolution and how we build everything now.
That's a great point. It really underscores how these seemingly small inventions have actually had these huge outsized impacts. They've profoundly influenced our daily lives, pushed societal advancements forward in ways we often just don't stop to consider.
What's also particularly interesting, I think, is how relevant these, analog tools still are, even in our super digital age.
Absolutely. Mirrors are still crucial in homes, yes, but also in really sophisticated scientific instruments, like telescopes we mentioned.
And spoons. Billions of people use them every single day to eat.
Can't argue with that.
And tape measures are still absolutely indispensable for ensuring accuracy in construction, manufacturing, DIY projects, countless industries.
Their lasting presence really highlights something important, doesn't it? That innovation doesn't always mean complex technology.
Exactly. Sometimes the most impactful inventions are just elegant, effective solutions to fundamental needs. Simple, but brilliant.
It definitely gives you a new appreciation for these ordinary objects around us. The next time you pick up a mirror or a spoon or a tape measure, it's worth taking a second, thinking about that long history, all the artisans, the craftspeople, the inventors who played a part.
Reflecting on their origins, it kind of connects us to this shared human story, doesn't it? It reminds us of the ingenuity, the perseverance that have shaped the world we live in.
So, as we bring this deep dive to a close, I think it's pretty clear that even the most humble, everyday tools can hold truly remarkable tales within them. Epic tales, even.
And maybe on that note, we can encourage you, the listener, to exercise your own curiosity a bit further. Pick another everyday object, anything, really, maybe a comb, a key, a simple pencil, and just do a little digging into its history.
Yeah.
You'll likely find a story just as compelling, just as full of human ingenuity, struggle, brilliance.
Because these items, they're so much more than just utilities, aren't they? They're like individual threads woven into this rich tapestry of our shared history.
Well said.
So maybe the final thought is just to embrace the wonder of the everyday. Let the origins of mirrors, spoons, and tape measures spark some ongoing curiosity about the world around you.